On this episode of UTR, we head north by northwest for a general store that's that and a whole lot more. We'll also frequent a finer diner and spend some time staring at the stars. Then we discover an awesome artist whose legacy is still alive and take a ride down a slippery summer slope. Get ready to explore the cool people, places, and things that make the northwest part of the Mitten a great place to be.
It's human nature to plan ahead, but sometimes our best ideas come when there's no plan at all. When we just go with the flow and let the day unfold as it was meant to be. A day on the water, soaking up the sun. A day we leave up in the air. Yesterday, this was just a last-minute idea. Today, our big surprise is pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Additional support provided by the Ann Arbor Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Visit annarbor.org as your gateway to Chelsea, Dexter, Manchester, Milan, Saline, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. And the more I explore, the more I realize it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton, and this is Under the Radar, Michigan.
You know, North by Northwest is one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies. It also happens to be one of my favorite parts of Michigan's Mitten. I actually heard that Cary Grant's from there. No. Oh.
Well, that may not be true, but what is true is that Northwest Lower Michigan is one of the most pleasing places you can put your person on the entire planet. And if Cary Grant was from here, he'd be plenty proud.
You could spend a lifetime loving this part of our great state, but we've only got a half hour, so let's get her going.
Northwest Lower Michigan is located in the upper part of, oh, this is silly. You know where it is.
You know, usually when we tell you about a great historic place where you can shop, eat, stay, and play, we're talking about an entire town. But this time, it's a general store. Well, it's that and a whole lot more.
If walls could talk, this place would be a prolific purveyor of the past. The Horton Bay General Store in Boyne City goes all the way back to 1876. So there's more history and folklore here than you can shake a time machine at. Chip Loringer is the owner of this Michigan treasure. And for over 15 years, he's helped keep what he calls the old girl going.
What possessed you to possess this incredible place?
My wife and I asked each other that after we bought it. Says, what did we go and do?
Oh, you waited until after you bought it?
Yeah, no. We walked in with the intent to buy the building next door. She came in here to look around and came walking out with a smile on her face, and I knew I was in trouble at the time. She said, guess what? I said, what? She says, it's for sale. And I went, you know how your heart just kind of sinks, you know you're done. Yeah. But I have to say that when we walked in, it felt like putting on an old shoe.
Oh, yeah.
So comfortable. And if there's spirits in here, they're benevolent. It just felt good.
When we walked in here, you can feel the history. If that floor could talk, oh my gosh. Yeah. Because this place is, what,
141.
141 years old. As soon as I walked in, I tried to picture what it must have been like back around the time it was built here.
The historical aspect of that, it was built the same month and same year as the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Wow.
Throwing that into historical perspective really puts more to the building.
So people, I mean, I'm sure everybody came here for their provisions. Back then, it wasn't you go to the store to buy, it was your provision.
They came here for their provisions. Both walls on each side were actually lined floor to ceiling with that old kind of roller ladder that they would go pick things off. Okay. So yeah, it was the center of this whole, you know, probably a couple square miles.
Now, Hemingway has a history here, I understand. I see his picture all over the place. His wife, he and his wife in the back.
He and his wife in the back. Hemingway spent from 6 months old to about 18 up here. The family had homes over on Walloon Lake. The father had a farm about 2 miles away. And when Hemingway was about 6 years old, he would walk over here because he really fell in love with the village, and the people here accepted him. So He would come over here. There's a couple really good stories about him. He was hidden in the back room here, away from the game warden guys, because when he was a young teenager, he'd been poaching, so they came looking for him, and the shop owner hid him in the back room. So he had a big affinity for the village.
So if you've got any kind of a connection with Hemingway, this is a neat place to come.
Oh my gosh, we get people from literally all over the world.
And what you've done with this place is pretty extraordinary, because not only is it this authentic general store that serves, you know, you can actually get a malted milk here at the counter and buy things, but out back, tell me about the space out back.
The space out back, when we bought it, it was living quarters and storage. We developed into my ideal of an Irish pub.
Well, this place is so multi-dimensional because even given all that, upstairs is amazing what you've done upstairs with the bed and breakfast.
That's a matter of pride. I have a lot of pride, and I love showing it off. It's extremely Victorian. Again, we had to gut it.
Well, you're, what, the 27th owner?
I did count before you fellas showed up this morning. I think I'm actually about 29 or 30.
Owners.
Of owners, yeah. And we hold the longevity at it'll be 17 years. It'll be 17 years this month. To be able to take a building like this and preserve it and keep it, to me, it was a privilege to do it.
Well, the neat thing is you've put so much of yourself into this place that you're part of it now. So you'll be carried on as part of the history of this place.
Well, everybody would like to think they will leave a mark on the world. And this is my mark. At least my name will be in the history books for ownership of a piece of history.
At least you left a mark. I just left a spot.
Well, you've done well. You've done well.
Thanks. Tell my wife that, would you?
Tell your boss to give you a raise.
The Horton Bay General Store is a living, breathing part of Michigan's past that continues to make new history every day. And the great thing is, you can come here and be a part of it.
And who knows, in 100 years, there could be somebody in there telling tall tales about you. That's a scary thought.
Now, if you take an old building, a new menu, and a cool couple, what do you get? Well, in Harbor Springs, you get the Paper Station Bistro. Well, that's what you get.
This cool and comfortable finer diner is a relatively new place in town where the locals love to linger. Why? Well, I think it has something to do with the great food and atmosphere that Mike Naturkis and his wife Tawna have created.
The first thing I tell people who open restaurants is, what are you, crazy? It's like, because it's so much more work than people think, but you have to love it. It's a labor of love.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
This place is very cool. And how long have you had it?
This is our second, well, it'll be our third season, but it'll be our second anniversary.
Your menu, I've had people tell me that you guys have taken the burger to the next level. How did you do that, and what did you do?
Our chef, Justin, we give him carte blanche to buy just the best food that he can buy. So he reaches out to companies like Carmela and Fairway Packing, and he buys all, you know, Wagyu beef and rib meat.
Well, besides the burgers, what's the inspiration for the menu?
It's really basically a combination of how it started was just really what we thought was missing in town that we would want when we were going out. And then it just kind of morphed into, as we brought Justin in and he had some ideas, and we are always open to, we try stuff, it doesn't always work, and that's the fun part. We change the menu all the time. So it's really fluid because we try to keep it small.
I was telling Mike, I love places like this because they almost hug you, you know what I mean? They're small and they're intimate and they're narrow, and they just have a different vibe than big footprint places, so.
It's easier to wrap your arm around this place.
We love it too when, you know, it's like a family eating dinner together when our guests come together, and it's like, do you mind? You know, we pull a table out, they squeak in, and pretty soon, before you know it, these two tables are having a conversation, and then that table
Everybody's
will jump
forced to talk in here,
so
you know, which is cool.
it's fun.
Well, the place has a real New York kind of vibe to it. Was that on purpose, or you went to a wholesale place and then lots of pictures, or what?
No, we visit New York often, love the little hole-in-the-wall restaurants, the little places that you discover that, you know, are packed and fun. So that's kind of what we were going for. And then also, summer is so busy, winter is so slow. So for us, it just seemed the most realistic to have a tiny place that would feel full all the time.
Well, little places like this really help create a sense of place in a town because, like you were saying earlier, people are kind of forced to talk, share, you know, whether it's food or thoughts. And yeah, it just makes people closer, makes the community closer.
It's funny because what will happen, and this happens all the time in here, especially when it's full, you'll hear the door open, and when the door opens, everybody goes and looks at the door to see who's coming.
Right, to see if somebody they know.
They just kind of place if you know, and you'll see everybody will wave, you know, and it's kind of funny to see it happen, you know, and then they'll talk all the way through, and it can take a while to get them seated just because they know everybody in here, and that's cool. I mean, I love that part.
Mike and Tawna have put together a great little place where everyone can connect. So, we figured we'd get out and do some connecting ourselves.
We come up to Harbor Springs quite a bit, and it's a fairly new restaurant, so it was very good.
Would you recommend it to me?
Yes, I would.
Would you buy my lunch?
Yes, I would.
Well, that was easy. So I understand this is your first time at the paper station.
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, I guessed. I never guessed right.
Right.
You like the food?
Excellent.
How about
excellent.
the ambiance?
Excellent.
The company?
Excellent. Excellent. Well, the company, excellent.
I'm not talking about her, I'm talking about me.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Yes.
You know what they say about guys who wear hats in restaurants, don't you?
You should take them off.
No, they're really cool guys. So what'd you have?
We had the perch bites, which was lake perch wrapped in bacon, smothered in barbecue sauce. Who would have thought bacon and fish?
Yeah, I saw them go by, and I almost grabbed. It might have been your order I almost grabbed. You're lucky.
So if you're lucky enough to pass through Harbor Springs someday, you'll be lucky to find your way to the Paper Station Bistro. And if you do, lucky.
Hey, when was the last time you went outside, laid down at night, and stared at the stars? I know it's kind of hard to do lately with all the light pollution, but I found a place right here in Michigan where not only can you see them, you can celebrate them too.
I'm talking about the Headlands International Dark Sky Park just west of Mackinac City. At this 600-acre preserve along the Lake Michigan shoreline, these celestial beacons are bountiful. It's one of only a handful of parks like it in the entire world. And the heavens shine bright here simply because of the lack of light in the area. Mary Adams is quite simply starstruck. She also happens to be the program director here at the park.
Now, I know it's weird that we're wearing sunglasses and we're at a dark sky park, but I thought it'd be a good idea if I got here when it was light out and you knew it was me.
Yes.
Okay. This is so much more than what I was expecting.
I'm really glad to hear you say that.
I can't even put it into words.
Yeah.
The facility is amazing.
You know, it's interesting. We call it a dark sky park. You could call it a sky park, and that would allow for us to be here during the day. It's everything under the sun and under the stars.
You even have a telescope.
We have a telescope, yeah. A lot of learning about the night sky is looking at it into deep space with telescopes. We have a solar telescope. We have a telescope that's designed just for our planetary system, and then our big telescope is for deep space stuff. So we can look at nebula and galaxies, and you can't see with the naked eye.
Can you see the Lobster Nebula?
The Lobster Nebula, yeah.
The crab. Right, I knew it was a crustacean, right, okay. That's amazing. How did all this come to be? I mean, and how does it work? Is this free to the public?
So the Headlands property is owned by Emmett County. And Emmett County has a Parks and Recreation Department, and their parks are free and accessible to the public. You don't have to live in Emmett County. You can come on site and enjoy the property.
So you have programs here?
Yes.
People can also just come here whenever they want to
Yes.
and just stare at the stars?
Yes, so we have 2 miles of Lake Michigan shoreline. We've got wonderful seating area outside. We've got something that's more organized, like right here near the building, but we also have undeveloped wilderness shoreline. So you can really come to the shores of Lake Michigan, watch the sunset into the lake, watch the stars come out, catch the meteor showers, the Milky Way. Anything that's happening in the sky that we can see from this region of the world, you can experience it here.
And when you think about it, staring into the night sky is such a humbling experience.
Yeah.
It's like it makes all your problems seem so insignificant because...
It makes them seem, yeah, it does. I'm interrupting you, but I think that also it kind of affirms the majesty of being human because you can't know it, you can't see it unless you can know it. So something about surrendering to the awe and wonder of the night sky affirms the beauty of being human I mean, that's a really important thing, that ennobling of, yeah, I mean, I might be cast out of the center, but there's something central to my experience of this. That's what I like.
You're a big reason why this happened, so I think you and this place are amazing.
Okay, well, I like that. There's been a great team of us working on it. A lot of people behind the scenes that don't get to be as upfront as I do, but I do appreciate the visibility that comes to this work and the way we do it here.
Now all we need is some stars tonight.
Yeah, right. We're always hoping for stars.
This entire place was absolutely amazing. And the trip up to see the giant telescope was one of the coolest things I've done in a long time. If it's a clear night and you want to have stars in your eyes, check out the night sky at the Headlands International Dark Sky Park.
Oh, and don't forget, when you see the first star of the night, make a wish. I did. I'm just afraid to take my hat off to see if it worked.
The next day, we started things off with a quick bite and some cool conversation with our good buddy Java Joe in St. Ignace. Well, not quick. You know Joe. He talks just as good as he cooks. Then we headed south to Benzonia for a place we chose because, well, it's so enchanting.
Do you ever wonder where hobbits, gnomes, and leprechauns go when they want to express themselves artistically? Well, once again, come on, I'll show you. Oh boy, this'll be fun.
Gwen Frostic's is an almost magical place where just a few steps slow you down and take you back in time. Since the early 1950s, for a lot of people, a trip to this part of Michigan meant a stop at Gwen's shop for her linoleum block prints, handmade cards, papers, and books. And even though Gwen Frostic passed away in 2001, her legacy lives on thanks to Kim and Greg Forshee and a dedicated staff of folks who believe in the power of her printed words and images.
Now, when people ask me about Gwen Frostic, who she was, I almost am tongue-tied because there's so much depth to who she was and her personality. Who was Gwen Frostic?
Well, she was a very determined woman. As a child, she had polio, so she didn't like to talk about that, but it made her even stronger. And from there, she moved up north. I mean, what woman do you know that comes out into the middle of the northern woods, builds a shop, lives upstairs, and at the end of her life, she gave $13 million to Western Michigan College for art scholarships for kids.
That's amazing. I mean, she was a philosopher, an artist. She was
a writer.
A writer.
She wrote all her books.
It's amazing what she accomplished. And when did she get into carving the linoleum pieces?
Well, she originally started out with metal. And then when the war hit, it was hard to get her hands on metal. So she switched to linoleum.
Now, what inspired you to carry on her legacy?
Well, I worked here, and it's magical. You know, I just fell in love with it, me and my husband both. And we see the love, the customers that come in. Everybody has an emotional attachment. And it's just a peaceful place. I think it takes people back in time to a quieter, simpler time.
What's amazing to me, too, is it is like stepping back in time because you're carrying on her legacy. You're doing it with these old Heidelberg presses, and you're still printing her books, her art. How many blocks did she carve?
2,300.
What? Mm-hmm. Really?
And think about this. Every block had to be carved backwards. So not only did she have to sketch the image,
right,
then when she carved it, she had to reverse it in her mind and carve it reversed.
That's amazing.
That's the part that really blows my mind.
Yeah, I couldn't do it frontwards.
Exactly. Well,
I had to do it
reversing
right backwards. What, on a personal level, what does this mean to you?
On a personal level, for me, it gives me and my husband gratification to save a unique landmark, and that gives us personal gratification, and we love it. It's fun.
You ever see any little gnomes or leprechauns running around in here?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. You better watch out.
We're staying.
Now, just to prove that the family ink runs deep here, Gwen's own nephew, Bill Frostic, took me to Print Shop 101. Old school style.
I've been told that you're the print master general here.
Certainly.
And you've been here a while.
51 years.
That must be a special thing that you're here carrying on the family tradition.
keep the presses running.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the presses, I understand they call these Heidelberg because I take it that means they're from Heidelberg.
They're all German presses made in Heidelberg, Germany.
How old are
By
these?
the Heidelberg company. They're about 60 years old.
Now, even though this technology is older than I am, I still have no idea what's happening here. How does this print press work?
These are letter presses, and we're printing directly on the paper from the block. I'm just putting the date here, the calendar date for July 2018.
So the roller is purple, and that's the purple we're seeing on the card.
Yeah, I ran it through once with the green and put the purple on. The paper's picked up with an air suction, and the gripper, there's two grippers. He grabs a hold of the sheet of paper, swings it around, and presses it against the block, and that's what does the actual printing.
You realize you can never leave because if anything goes wrong, you're the man. So.
I know that.
You know it?
And we hired a new guy.
Yeah. Well, still, you're indispensable. I have to ask you, is this here for if this thing breaks down or if I get out of control?
Oh, no, just the press.
Okay.
Just the
check.
press.
If you love nature and you'd like to experience the work of a world-renowned artist, you don't have to go far, because Gwen Frostic's incredible work is tucked safely away right here. Thanks, Gwen.
Let me ask you something. Is your life going downhill? Well, if it's not, it should, because here at Crystal Mountain in Thompsonville, going downhill is an uplifting experience.
And when it comes to summer, the best way to do it is on the cool and crazy Crystal Coaster Alpine Slide right here at Crystal Mountain. Now, before I partake in this thrill-packed pleasure, I thought it best to catch a lift with Crystal Mountain's PR director, Brian Lawson.
So, Brian, everybody knows that Crystal Mountain has great skiing, golf, mountain biking, even a water park. But when did you guys start doing the Alpine Slide?
Yeah, the slide was opened in 2008.
Why didn't you call me?
Well, yeah, I know. I think a lot of people are asking that question. It's it's slowly gained popularity over the years.
Is it fast?
It's as fast as you want it to be.
Oh, so you can actually, so you don't ride down on your tuchus, you ride down on a little sled, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's a little sled. It's got a little handbrake right in the middle of it, so you push forward to go forward.
Right.
You let up to slow down, pull back to brake completely. So it can be, a wild adventure, or it can be a nice, leisurely cruise down the mountain.
What's the vertical drop from the top of the slide to the bottom?
Well, the vertical drop here at the mountain is about 375 feet. So from the tippy top down to the bottom, that's the change in elevation.
Yeah, this is spectacular. And you get to ride the chairlift. You don't have to walk up the hill. It's not like regular sledding when you got to walk up the hill. You just ride the chairlift up, you get off, slide down, bada bing.
Well, a lot of people haven't skied before, and this is their first experience on a chairlift, so that in and of itself is kind of a cool experience.
How long is the slide?
1,700 feet.
Whoa, 1,700 feet of thrill-packed fun.
Yeah, parallel fun.
Yeah, I'm scared, but I'm going to try it anyway when I get up there. So families must love this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about it is that kids of any age can do it. Now you do have to be a certain height and certain weight to be on there by yourself. But if you're a parent, you've got a 2 or a 3-year-old, you can sit them down on your lap and go down with them. I started taking my daughter down when she was 2, and she loved it.
Oh, it's that safe.
Yeah.
You can just put them on your lap and go down.
That's right.
That's amazing, because if you saw me skiing, I can't go that fast, but this is my one chance where the skill level is low enough where I could actually possibly do this.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
If you want to put a little speed into your summer, don't drop the camera viewfinder off the chairlift like Eric did, then have to walk the walk of shame to find it. Instead, come ride the Crystal Coaster Alpine Slide here at Crystal Mountain. It's a breathtaking blast for the whole family.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'm about to break the resort record with this bad boy. Let's let her go. This will be easy. Left, 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 left. Oh, Mommy!
Hey folks, thanks so much for watching Under the Radar Michigan. I really appreciate it. Look, if you want to know more about what we do, where we go, what we have, go to utrmichigan.com. You can get our brand new book, UTR, The First 50. You can get DVDs of our shows. You can get wearables, even this brand new hoodie like the one I'm wearing right here. Pretty sweet, huh? So go to utrmichigan.com. You'll have fun, I guarantee.
Along the way is where we find the unexpected. Along the way is where we take in the scenery, and often where we have the most fun. Sure, along the way can be the place we stop to fill up or grab a bite to eat. But in Michigan, along the way becomes the place we've been longing for. Because enjoying the journey is always pure Michigan. Your trip begins at Michigan.org.
Additional support provided by the Ann Arbor Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Visit AnnArbor.org as your gateway to Chelsea, Dexter, Manchester, Milan, Saline, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor. And by Rogers City and Presque County. Miles of pristine beaches and shoreline, historic lighthouses, magnificent waterfalls, scenic parks and trails. Michigan's year-round vacation wonderland.